Today we are learning lesson 3-4, finding and using slopes of lines. Goal to find and compare slopes of lines. And so starting this lesson, what is slope? Again, slope of a line is the ratio of vertical change rise to horizontal change run between any 2 points on the line. Right? So you've noticed slope is rise over run. That's what they're talking about here. And so, right, slope formula, rise over run. Rise is talking about the y values, whereas run is talking about the x values. So if we were given a couple points, we could use this formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And when you simplify, you end up with slope. Okay. Now, some other facts about slope are right down here, and we've got 4 different lines. So we're talking about line K first. Line K is going to have a positive slope because we are going up as we go from left to right, whereas line J would have a negative slope because we're going down as we're going left to right. L slope would be 0. Right? Slope is 0 because we're just going straight across. Looks like the ground we generally walk on when we're flat, whereas N would be undefined slope because that is going to be an equation that's going to be x equals, right? But our slope was rise over run being 0. Can't divide by 0. That would give us undefined, right? So that would be a vertical line. Next, we're going to find the slope of some point. Now, given a situation like this, I am of the type where I'd like to use rise over run. Now, some would say we've got a lot of points. Why don't we just plug in the points of the formula? It's even simpler than that. This is counting. So starting off, DJ is the purple line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of make a triangle. Generally, I go, okay, how are we going to go from D to J? We're going to go down first. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down. In this case, that's a -6 movement. So for rising, I'm going down 6. For running, I'm going to count how many over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over. I get -6 over 6, which simplifies to -1. So my slope there is -1. Common sense for a second here. We're going down. It should be negative, so it makes sense, right? Makes sense that that line is negative. Moving next, we've got GC, which is our line in black. And again, we've got the same idea where it's just easier to count here. So counting, this time we'll go left to right first. So this will be the bottom number for our run. We're now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So again, over 6. This time we're going up 1, 2, 3, 4. And so we've got a fraction there. Always simplify your fractions, right? They both have a 2 in them, so that equals 2/3. Slope is positive, and it makes sense because we are going up as we go to the right. Next, we've got the red line for LK, rise over run. There's not really much of a rise here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over is our run. Rising 0, right? And so our slope here is going to be 0 divided by number is 0. Slope is 0. And then the last one is our blue line. Blue line here going from F to B, we're just going up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I rose 8. Didn't run over 1, right? It's straight up. This gives you an undefined error if you try that on your calculator. So undefined, or just UNDEF is the abbreviation right there. Just cut it off at the F, and that is that. Next, we'll do a couple where we have points, right? So we've got find the slope given the points. So again, one little reminder, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And so again, taking the second point, y values, I'm going to go 10 minus -2. We got a double negative, so I'm still writing it in, over my x values, 7 minus 3. Now, double negative here is going to give us a positive, so these will technically cancel. 10 plus 2 gives us 12. 7 minus 3 gives us 4. And that gives us 12 over 4 is 3 is our slope. One more time over here, -6 minus 12 over 13 minus 5. we've got minus 18 over 8. And to simplify, divisible by 2, we get minus 9 over 4. So that slope would be minus 9 fourths. Moving on to the next part, parallel lines. Hopefully this is something you remember. Parallel lines have the same slope. Now, important thing, we've got these little red arrows. That is symbolically how you show that lines are parallel. So if we have a picture where we've got those red triangles on two lines, that means the lines are parallel. Just by chance, if we happen to have like a hashtag looking graph and we have these two other lines, they would probably double up on the arrows or triangles so that it'd be clear that those lines are parallel to each other, but not to the ones that they clearly intersect. So just a little note there. And next, perpendicular. Oh, one other thing, symbol for parallel, we'll use it quite a bit, is the 2 L's. There's our symbol for parallel. Next, perpendicular, we've already went over this, but more particular, slopes of perpendicular line multiplied equal -1 or opposite reciprocal. For example, if we solve for M1 here, you would get -1 over M2, and that is kind of what opposite reciprocal is. For example, if slope 1 was 3/5, opposite would be negative because we're opposite sign of the positive, and then reciprocal is where you flip your numerator and denominator. So it's kind of like a double flip. We flip the sign, now we're flipping position, and this would be our perpendicular slope to a slope like 3/5. Next, find the slope of the line, which ones are parallel. And this one, basically a counting game, right? You've got the pictures, so we're doing rise over run. So in this case, over 1, up 1, 2, 3, 4. I went up 4 over 1. That slope is 4 for J. K, same idea. We're going over 1. Maybe changing up the color a little bit here. Over 1, up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, so we got 5 over 1 is 5. So far, no parallel match. Next, we've got line L. We're going over 1, up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, there's our match. Notice our numbers should match as well here in this term because we weren't simplified, but we got 5 over 1. And so there's parallel K, parallel to L. Lastly, we didn't find all the slopes, so we'll do one more M here. 1, 2 over, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 over 2 is the slope of M. Okay. A little bit quicker when it comes just to counting, right? It's a lot quicker to count than to find those 2 points, y2 minus y1, right? It's a lot quicker of a process. Next, line H passes through the points 3, 0, and 7, 6. So let's go ahead and draw those. 3, 0, 7, 6, 7, and up 6. So there's line H. Graph the line perpendicular to that, and that goes through the point 2, 5. So let's connect our dots the best we can here. Okay. And now I'm going to draw a 2, 5. So 2, 4, 5, there's that line. And before I can do my perpendicular line, I need to find my slope here. So I'm just going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4 over, up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my slope of the red line is 6 over 4, which is 3/2. Now, perpendicular movement, I got to erase this for the next one. A perpendicular movement is going to be opposite of the positive 3/2. And we're going to flip the 3/2, and it's going to be -2/3 is our perpendicular slope. So going from this point, I'm just going to go down 2 over 3, down 2 over 3. It can give us a little bit of a line. And we just need to graph it. So that's enough points. Connecting the dots, and there we go. That would be perpendicular to the red line. Find a pair of perpendicular lines. Now, pretty easy to see that we've got 3 negative sloping lines, and J is our only positive slope. So J is one of those lines. So let's find J's slope. I've got these 2 red dots to signify points. So counting 1, 2, 3, 4 over 6 up. So just like last problem, 6 over 4, I've got 3/2. Okay. Again, 3/2 being my slope for what we're going to be perpendicular to. I'm looking for which of these remaining lines is going to be -2/3, right? That's what I'm looking for Now, so starting with L, because that's the one that's on top, counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down, 1, 2, 3 over. So that was a negative 5/3 slope. That one's not going to work. So next line, now I'm going on to M. So L didn't work. On M, we're going 1, 2 down, 1, 2, 3 over. And there's our negative 2/3 slope. So M should be our answer. We're just going to double check the last line, line K. Make sure we don't have 2. We got 1, 2 down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over. And that gives us K is negative 2/5. Again, all about rise over run. Rises are changing line over how we're moving left and right running. One last challenge question. And we've got find the value of K if the line through the points K minus 3, K plus 2, and 2, 1 is parallel to the line through the points negative 1, 1, and 3, 9. So given this information, we've got a set of points where we can find slope, and then we've got a set of points that will give us kind of some variables. So what we're going to do is, if it's parallel, we're finding slope, right? So 9 minus 1 over 3 minus negative 1. And because it's parallel, to finish that train of thought, that we should find the slopes are equal, right? So once we simplify here, 9 minus 1 is 8. 3 minus a negative 1 is 3 plus 1 is 4. Gives us a slope of 2. 2 should equal the slope when we slope these 2 points. So doing that, 1 minus K plus 2. And notice when we substitute, because it's more than one piece, it needs to be in parentheses, over 2 minus K minus 3, like so. We're going to simplify this first before we set it equal to 2. So we have minus K minus 2. So 1 minus 2 is minus 1. And I'll put minus K in front, so kind of switching the order. Down here we got minus K plus 3. So 2 plus 3 is 5. So we get minus K plus 5. On the denominator, minus K minus 1 on top equals 2. And then we're just going to cross multiply like you would a proportion. I mean, technically it's over 1. We want to do a proportion here. So we get negative K minus 1 equals 2 times minus K plus 5. Negative 2K plus 10 equals negative K minus 1. And now the general, how I like to do this is move the smaller amount of K. So negative 2K is less than plus K. So adding 2K to each side, moving the minus 1. By adding 1 to each side, I get K equals 11. Now plug it in. Like clearly this is one where, there's lots of spots you could have made mistakes. So if we plug 11 in up here, right, we've got K is 11 minus 3, 11 plus 2 gives us 813. So 813 and 2, 1 should have a slope here. We'll go the other way. Well, 13 minus 1 is 12. 8 minus 2 is 6. And 12 over 6 is 2. So our slopes match. And again, the answer there wasn't the slopes matching, but K equals 11. One more of these. Find the value of K if the line through the points K minus 3, 2K minus 4, and 2K plus 1, K minus 5 is perpendicular to the line through the points negative 2, 7, and negative 8, negative 1. Now, similar but different in this problem is perpendicular. So again, same idea this time. We're going to do slope with the numbers we have that are nice. Negative 1 minus 7 over negative 8 double negative 2 gives us minus 8 over negative 8 plus 2 is negative 6. Gives me a slope of 4/3. Now, we're not equal to that slope, but now we're going to find perpendicular slope, which is going to give us negative 3/4. So now that we have negative 3/4, we want to do the math with these K values up here. So again, I like to go from the larger looking to the smaller, but in this case, we just do K minus 5 minus quantity 2K minus 4. Those are the Y values over 2K plus 1 minus quantity K minus 3. And I like to distribute here before I'm going to simplify. So minus 2K plus 4. So I got 1K minus 2K is negative K. Negative 5 plus 4 is minus 1, so there's the numerator. Denominator, we're going to subtract k plus 3. 2k minus k is k. 1 plus 3 is 4. And so I got negative k minus 1 over k plus 4 equals this negative 3/4. And now for simplicity, let's just put that negative at the 3. It can go with either number, but just so that we know where the negative's at. And now we're proportion. We're going to cross multiply here. 4 times negative k minus 1 equals negative 3 times k plus 4. And distributing negative 3k minus 12 minus 4k minus 4. Bringing the smaller amount of k over. We've got plus 4k to each side to give us k plus 12 to each side to equal 8. K equals 8. All that math just to find k is 8. And that is our final question. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Homework is on Google Classroom.